Finally, after many years of soul-searching, blood, sweat, and tears, I have unearthed a long-forgotten remnant of my childhood. Pokémon Orange version? Yes, many of us remember and cherish the days of yore when Pokémon Red and Blue were first released. If you remember back then, in 1999 or so, this game was a huge hit. I mean Red and Blue, not Pokémon Orange. Yes, I remember that time quite vividly. You see, there was a little store called Funcoland, if you're old enough to remember, and it sold retro games all the way down to the beloved NES. The Nintendo Entertainment System. Your parents help you hook it up. The Legend of Zelda sold separately. But then, that fateful day, the terrible day, GameStop stormed in, took over everything, and he threw out all the retro games like they were pieces of garbage. But there are other games, these stores and such, that sell video games that are old now, but you can't always find them, and so it really sucks. But in any case, I digress. You see, my father and I took a look at the old local paper, advertising paper, if you will, that Funcoland sent out every now and then. And right then and there, I knew I had to get my grubby little hands on Pokémon Red or Blue. Preferably both. Well, it didn't go quite as planned. You see, my father looked at the old paper and noticed that the pre-owned version of Pokemon was only $14.99, and he basically told me, "Well, son, looky here. Let's go for the cheaper version. You know, the used one here, for $14.99. Being the obedient child that I was, I of course agreed and said, "Of course, father. Cheaper is always best." So like a pack of Rattata, scurrying for their last morsel of a meal in order to survive, we went to the mall. And guess what? No go. They were all sold out. And I mean everywhere. I had to apologize to my dad for throwing a tantrum because I wouldn't give up the search. Who wouldn't? But I was devastated. I was crushed, racked with crippling depression. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. More or less. Eventually I did get him. I got both versions. You know, because life kind of works itself out that way. But what's this? Pokemon Orange version, you says? Where did this lost remnant of the Pokemon universe ever come from? Well, I hate to break it to you, pal, but it's not a Pokemon game. It's a ROM hack. Yeah, I know. You're super disappointed. Super disappointed. Get over it. There are actually a lot of these reproduction cartridges out there. I found numerous on Etsy, AliExpress, and even eBay. Though some eBay listings tend to be a little overpriced. They all range from the extremely unique to the extremely profane. Pokemon Orange is unique in its own right. It sports the standard Game Boy graphics and puts your character in the Orange Islands. You know, the islands that Ash went to in the anime, the only league that he ever won, which doesn't even exist, and the original game series. That one. There are 4 gyms to get through based off the anime series that include Sissy of Meekin Island, Danny of Navel Island, Rudy of Trovita Island, and Luana of Kumquat Island. Unfortunately, the game isn't quite finished, so you're basically stuck in limbo right after that. There is a guard who blocks the way to the final Orange League challenge, but I don't even think that's coded in the game. Maybe in the future? Now, the starters of the game include Eevee, Pikachu, and Lapras, of all Pokemon. Overpowered much? The great thing about it is that you don't need Surf to get around the islands. You're given an item called Board from the first mart you come across, for free. And unfortunately, since the game isn't finished, a lot of the sprites don't really correspond to who they're supposed to be. For instance, the gym leaders still have the sprites of Brock, Misty, etc. from the Pokemon Red and Blue series. And for some odd reason, your overworld sprite is Jessie's from Pokémon Yellow, but your in-game battle sprite is still that of Red. Overall, it is a pretty fun game. Just seeing the different type of Pokemon you come across in the wild is a plus. And you can even catch all 3 starters from Red and Blue pretty early on. However, be prepared for a lot of grinding. The difficulty curve is pretty steep to the point that the creator, D. Tyler, uses a character to apologize for the Pokemon levels after the first gym battle. Darn you, D. Tyler, and your cursed Pokemon world. But I forgive you. Sure, it's got a few kinks, but it's still a nice change of pace from the original series if you're into the whole retro style of Game Boy gaming. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go train my Pokés. It's an Alolan Rattata, you know? Because it's dark. Yeah, dark. Type. What? Melvin is loafing around? This can't be. Oh no. Melvin is too high of a level for me to train. You know what this means, guys. I don't have enough gym badges. So it's time for me to traverse the land and go get them. So without further ado, I'm off. Wish me luck, and don't forget to like and subscribe for the next chapter of Benny Boy Green. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for next week's episode when Benny Boy Green reviews the Season 7 finale of Game of Thrones.